What the hell is going on? 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 I traveled far to be with you, then you leave me, girl. That's not cool. I never thought that this could happen. What the hell is going on? 'Cause I love you, I need you. Said I see you moving on the dance floor. I never thought that this could happen. What the hell is going on? 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 What the hell is going on, baby? What the hell is going on? Tell me what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? 'Cause there was a time you were here with me, girl. All things were fine, lost and happily, baby. Then you decide that you're not gonna be mine. But I lost my mind. This life is not for me. 'Cause I love you, I need you. Said I see you grooving on the dance floor. I never thought that this could happen. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on? Yeah. What the hell is going on? Tell me what the hell is going on? What the hell is going on, baby? What the hell is going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Kelvin,
I'm Taylor.
and we are Call in America. How's it going, Tay?
It's good.
It's good. We just watched an amazing, and a very interesting. We watched the debates. That's what tonight's show is about. We want to jump right into it. We got two amazing guests, hosts that are going to be joining us right now. But before we get to that, there's a couple of house rules. Please, if you're watching out there, share the stream, give us a comment in the comments, and let us know you're out there and weigh in.
Can people call in?
People can absolutely call in. Call me now is what we like to say on Call in America. When the phones are live, you're going to see the phone number. I've had a ton of people ask me, how do I call in? How do I call in? When the phone lines open, you're going to see the number on the bottom of the screen. That means, hey man, call in, speak your truth. The way that works is like this. Your opinion is not right. It is yours. Damn it. There's a freaking fly in here. Mike Pence is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. I hate flies because it's going to land on my head and then I'm going to have memes about me. But anyway, your opinion is not right. It's yours. Okay. We all have opinions. We can say our opinions, but what's the solution? All right. But tonight it's all about the debate. So we just want to talk about like who won, who didn't win, who was crazy, who was it? So that's how that goes. Okay. So be respectful. Our guest hosts are going to weigh in with their opinions. We got two amazing people and I love them to death. Let's just get right to it, guys. Let's get right to it. So when the phone lines open, you call in. You speak your truth or you ask a question, and that's that. All right. All right. Coming. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, guys. Oh, there's one more thing I want to say. I want to dedicate this show to a very special person by the name of Elizabeth. Elizabeth, I know you're watching. I just want to say thank you so much. You're a rock star, and I love your mom. Listen to her when she's talking, okay? You're a rock star. All right, here we go. First up, we're going to bring in Dayna, who is an amazing person. I actually met Dayna, never met Dayna in person, and she is just, she's an awesome person. We met online, and I'm gonna bring her to the stream right now. Dayna, how you doing, my friend?
I am good. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing. Hey, you're looking great, baby. You're looking.
Thank you.
She got ready for the show. Awesome. All right, we're gonna keep this. We're gonna keep this train going. I got another dear friend of mine who's a poet and just an amazing person here in Phoenix. We got Melissa coming to the stream. Let's show them how it's done. How you doing, baby? Boo.
Hello.
How are you, love?
I'm good. The ladies are rocking pink tonight.
Hey, ladies are rocking pink. I want my floral today. I want to look like my grandma's couch. So that's me today. So hey guys, let's jump right into it. Okay, we'll give you guys some time to tell all about yourselves and whatnot. But we just watched the debates. Tay, let's run down the topics, man. Let's start at the top. What are we doing?
Well, yeah, they had 6 total topics, and I don't think they got through all of them. Right? They got through about 4 of them. But there were some of the most popular ones of COVID-19, racism in the United States, what's happening in their families. But one thing that did change tonight is that they did change when their microphones were on and off.
Come on, man. Did they ever? There was one time that Trump got cut off when there was like 8 times that he could have been cut off. Ladies, weigh in. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he could have been cut off more. I think Kristen Welker did a good job of like just being like, look, we're moving on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Like she didn't stop. She wasn't having it. But yeah, they should have done the muting the entire time. It's not that hard. Just press a button. Amazing,
Melissa. What are your thoughts?
I agree. So at least we had the first initial 2 minutes of uninterrupted, which it was awful feral last debate. Like you couldn't even hear yourself think. I did write in my little notepad because a girl takes lots of notes. That like, okay, so we tried, in the beta, we tried the muting, and next up should be like the shock collar when she's done. Like when she's done, you're done.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. More.
I'm with it.
Right. And the first topic was COVID-19. Now, to me, I felt like the conversation was a little bit of a repeat from previous debates. I know they kind of introduced some new commentary into there, but nothing to me really stood out. I know Trump utilized the phrase Operation Warp Speed, which I think is a technical term. That was great. Biden,
Operation Warp Speed.
That's your favorite quote was, we need to be able to walk and chew gum.
I made a meme out of it. I made a meme out of it, because like how simple is that logic? We need to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. And we can absolutely do that if we just make sure everybody's taking care of themselves and each other by wearing masks and then getting the things back open. Dayna, what are your thoughts?
Wait, my thoughts about what you just said, or my thoughts
COVID-19? Just weigh in on the topic of COVID-19. Who do you think won? Like, was it Biden that took this?
I mean, of course, Biden won, but I don't think, like, as I was watching it, the way that Trump just keeps repeating himself, even though there's nothing to back it up. And I had a conversation with somebody that I don't know on Facebook, a friend of a friend, who was a Trump supporter who hadn't read anything and was just making stuff up about Joe Biden's plans. And I think the problem is for Trump, he won for them because they don't read anything. And I think if people read and actually looked at what was being said and fact checked, they would realize that Joe Biden won. I mean, he's got a plan to try to get us through this.
Mm-hmm. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
I do agree that Joe Biden had an actual plan. He went point by point. Unfortunately, with the whole idea of thinking of who won the debate, you know, this one individual character and they're both men, really it's who wins of the American people. Because all of us, right, we exist at the whims of these two individuals. So it's not about, oh, he won or he really stuck it to him, or like, oh, you know, like we are the ones who are bearing the brunt of all of this at the end of the day. So who can speak more to the loss? Like when Joe Biden talked about, you know, like we're not learning to live with this, we're learning to die with this. And he talked about the chair at the dining room table. Like that is real for a lot of people. A lot of people probably aren't even tuning into politics right now because they're grieving. That's real.
We got our first caller, ladies and gentlemen. We got our first caller. See how this goes. Welcome to Calling America. This is Kelvin, Taylor, Melissa, and Dayna. Who's calling? Where are you calling from, caller?
Hi, Kelvin. It's Stephanie. How you doing?
Hi, Stephanie. We are talking about the debates. What are your thoughts? Do you have a question for us, or you just want to speak your truth real quick?
Oh man, it was just too much to take in. I do think that unfortunately Trump actually did a good job, but I think Biden did better. He came back to all of everything that Trump said. He came back harder and stronger and just better. Trump, again, was his usual hypocritic self. I actually woke up my daughter by screaming at the television. When they were towards the end, when they were talking about nuclear, power, solar and wind versus oil, how Trump was so against everything, how he was saying, you know, oil is the better product or way to go, and then he busted Biden's balls and then he goes, are you going to make China do it? And I just thought, you certainly haven't made China hold their end of the bargain. I don't know. It's just always little things.
Or Mexico.
And it's really hard to watch.
Or Mexico. Stephanie, thank you so much for the call. Thank you so much. You have a good night.
Okay, good night. Bye.
Weigh in, ladies. What do you think about that?
I agree. I agree. I mean, Trump did well because he was muzzled. He couldn't.
Man.
Like, did you see his face? And it got progressively worse. Like once they got to the racism portion, there was one point where he was like writing. I don't think he was actually writing anything, but that's just my personal opinion. But he did well because he couldn't speak. He wasn't allowed to do what he normally does.
He wasn't allowed to trip over himself, right? He had like some training wheels on. Melissa, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. I think the man trips over himself when he's on all fours. You know what I mean? He's just mass, honey. You don't have 200,000 dead people and say like we're right on track. Like what the hell is that? That's not acceptable to a lot of people.
So to wrap up the COVID discussion, you know, it's interesting because here's what I do want to say about Trump in regards to when they asked him, like, you know, why aren't you wearing masks and whatnot? And we got to call a spade a spade. Like when the COVID-19 came out, one of the biggest things, everybody was rushing to get these masks. And it was Dr. Fauci who shut it down. He was like, no one should be wearing masks. We should not be doing that. That was not a good move. Now, keep bringing that stuff up is you know, bringing up the past is what is that going to do for us, right? But Trump did bring up that point, and it did make things a little bit hard in regards to trying to regulate masks after that. So I do want to just, you know, I want to speak to both sides of that. But
can I say something about that?
Absolutely.
From like the end of January through when we shut down, I watched every WHO briefing. Yeah. And I was reading the CDC. I mean, I was at work, so I was listening to it. But that was the initial thing that everybody said. The CDC, the WHO was we don't need masks.
That
so
was, and it was a big
it
thing.
came out of left field, you know?
It was a big thing. It was a big thing. Don't wear a mask. You should not wear a mask. You need to save these for the doctors. And then then it switched. And then that was like one of many switches that happened. So COVID-19, it's kind of an interesting topic to discuss anyway. Trump still could have shut it down. He still could have said everybody needs to wear a mask and that needs to be the deal. He could have done that. He didn't do that. But I do want to give credit where credit is due in that he's not wrong in the fact that Fauci did say some things that we back and forth on. So,
well, I think one thing that I saw consistently throughout the conversation was that Trump was concerned about businesses dying, and Biden was concerned about Americans dying. So it speaks to their priorities of money over people. And that's one thing that, again, I saw consistently. Biden even said, I'm not looking at red states. I'm not looking at blue states. I'm looking at Americans, right? And he's spit in the camera. Trump didn't look in, same thing that we saw in past debates where he's not looking in the camera. He's not talking to the American people. He's talking to the moderator, or he's arguing with himself and Joe Biden, but he's talking about money and he's talking about businesses. Right. He's a businessman, and that's his top priority.
All right, let's move on to the next one. I'm gonna be the moderator. I'm the moderator. Sir, we're gonna move on to the next one.
Don't cut me off. I know you can.
Go ahead.
So the next one was American family and the economy. So they covered, and honestly, there was a lot that was covered in this section. So there's the Affordable Care Act. They went over Biden care. They went over Trump wanting to remove Obamacare and starting completely over. So maybe let's start there. What are your guys' thoughts on Biden care and improving it and Obamacare, or Trump's approach to starting from scratch?
Well, let's start with you.
Well, first, I just want to say that I had a tally going. I got up to about 6 marks of the times they said Barack Obama, like he was Joe Obama, and they never said President Obama. Like, give the man his roses. Bothers me. Okay? So, and he said it's not Obamacare anymore, but he's the one calling it Obamacare. Wow. So if the president is saying that pre-existing conditions will always be, will never again be a deterring factor to getting health care, how? Like, show your work. Biden had a plan. He at least talked about it. And the fact that he's got labor unions backing him and several doctors behind him says a lot. Like, you need to be able to say that, hey, here's my plan, and these are the people that work in healthcare that are with me on it.
He's working on it. Dayna, what are your thoughts?
My concern is that when you look at Biden care, it's not going to take away people's private health insurance. And that seems to be a talking point of Trump's, and that's not true. And then the other thing is the pre-existing conditions is still on the docket for the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. So, like, they're going to vote to take it away. And I'm surprised that wasn't brought up, actually. I thought that Biden...
Speak on it. That's huge, man. That's huge. Melissa, I want to parrot you and say, or just piggyback on that and just say that, it's funny because I sent you guys a link earlier today about his, he released the interview early for what, I forget what it was for, but the interview that he released early, and the way he was talking about people, he never used their title, right? Everyone's calling him President Trump, but he's just calling people by their last name or by their first name, and just the level of disrespect that goes into that it's just so what bothers me is that it's so it's just so normal, and no one calls him out on that. You know, I think AOC called. Oh, well,
okay. Can we call her Congressman Ocasio-Cortez? She is a congresswoman.
Yes, sorry.
Calling her AOC might as well be a cereal box in the damn eye. She is an elected representative. Bothers me. On behalf of all Puerto Ricanas, use her title. It's completely dehumanizing to refer to people, and even a first name basis. He's over here calling his opponent Joe. And former Vice President Biden is referring to him as President Trump. He's never like Donald, because if he did, people would have a field day with it. But before we're on healthcare, I wrote here, is socialized medicine a dirty word if it's the reason you're alive? Because Walter Reed Healthcare is socialized medicine. We all paid for that.
Wow. Damn. And the way he talked about that, come on, real quick, the way he talked about that, he said he went to COVID. He said he got a cure. Remember, he said this was so crazy to me. He said they gave me some special thing. They're calling it a cure. Hold on. They're calling it a cure. So you mean you got a cure to COVID-19 because now he has no symptoms. He's completely fine.
Actually, that's not true. I've had a respiratory thing going on for 8 months, and I have 7 months of video of me acting. Yeah. I look fine to you guys. I can't breathe properly. People that know me can see that I can't breathe. So I've been watching him. Yes. He's not okay. He's not okay.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting. That's some good feedback. Because
the color is off. You know, like it's not a healthy complexion. Never was.
Yeah. The skin suit's falling off.
Right.
So
one thing that I didn't even think of before either when talking about healthcare is COVID-19 going to be a pre-existing condition?
Oh,
right.
What does that mean? There's so many people that have gotten it and have been tested and are documented with it. Like, what is that going to keep them restricted from?
And people get it and recover and have hardships down the line. I know people who have been in wheelchairs who have neurological issues,
disabled,
inflammatory issues. Dayna, you're saying that you're still not all right. Like
that's some crazy stuff. But all of a sudden, Trump goes to the best hospital, gets the best care, gets drugs that we do not have access to, and now he's cured, and he can't spread it on. That's what they said. He's immune now.
Yeah,
that's like, what the heck, man? That's what Trump said tonight. So just some interesting stuff out there.
But I thought another interesting piece of this conversation was separating families at the borders, and so I know. Melissa, I know we've had conversations about this before in the past, right? And so maybe let's start with you of like, where does your mind go with both stances from President Trump and Joe Biden?
Well, first of all, I think about the children, because I cannot imagine what it's like to be a child in the midst of that type of horrific trauma, and then to be a parent secondarily in that trauma. And if you can't even stay on topic, like you can't even stay with the child, stay with the parents, stay with the families. Are we in 2014 or are we in 2020? Joe Biden didn't physically build a cage for anybody. Look at the man. He can't lift no steel. Like, it's not like, my God, it's like the distraction from human rights violations that happened again in the conversation on race. It's not acceptable. I also don't think it's acceptable to leave Puerto Rico out of the immigration question as a Puerto Rican, which happens every single election cycle. And they literally cannot vote for president. My family members on the island cannot cast a vote for president, but they exist at the whims of whoever holds that office.
Wow. Before we move on to you, Dayna, that's so important. I'm so glad you brought that up, because there's this one thing, and I'm going to try to stay on topic here, but I just think this bears to be said because of what you just said, is that like when people say, well, I don't usually get into politics, right? That is such a privileged thing to say. That's such like
they do, but they're not aware.
Right. Exactly. And just because it doesn't affect you, for you to be able to say, I don't get into, I stay out of all that. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for even saying that. And when they put it on Facebook and stuff, it just bothers me. Like, that's such an ignorant thing to say, and that's just my personal opinion. So, Dayna, what are your thoughts?
I want to respond to what you just said. I mean, politics and human rights have become intertwined. So there is no. If somebody says, well, I don't get into politics, it's like, then you don't care about us, period. Like, that's
why are we friends? Why are we here? Like we are all living, and we all got to fight. We're all trying to live and be free. Like the fact that you can and I can't, and you don't care about it. Okay, well then we're not friends, really.
It's a lack of self-interest also, because the personal is political, regardless of who you are. And you might not be into politics, but politics is into you. It's in the house you live in. It's on the street you walk on. It's in the food you eat. Like, come on now.
Everything.
Yeah.
So I do want to answer this question: who built the cages? Now, this is my thoughts. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. They were built under Obama's administration, right?
The question that the moderator asked was not who built the cages. It's how do we get the families reunited with how do we get the children reunited with their families?
They were doing catch and release though during Obama, so they were letting them go until they showed up, until their court date. So it's not like they were keeping them in the cages.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Trump is ridiculous. Like, people need to be able to answer a question. If you want to make a different point, then wait till that question, or answer the question and then make your point.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the road? I've hiked the road many times. My brother has a house down in Patagonia, 10 miles from the border. I have hiked the road with my dog, who keeps coming in here.
I keep seeing him. Let him come in here. That's funny.
You can come. Now,
it's true.
But we've hiked it, and that is a rough hike. And I remember when I did it the first time, I was like, well, if you make it, welcome. Because none of us would make it. We would all die.
Exactly.
I think a lot of us, speaking to the privilege of politics doesn't affect me, right? Like, to have never, if you can't even, let alone empathize or sympathize with a refugee or an immigrant situation, you are living in a system of privilege. Like, imagine what type of terror or dire circ of desperation you must be living under to leave everything you ever know, your language, with your child, and risk getting separated from them. Like, people don't understand what,
and they never will.
And they never will. And I hope they never have to. But the fact is, other people do, and that also is your business.
It is your business.
We are each other's business.
I love it. I love it. Let's go to the next topic.
Yeah, well, and I just want to notate here too. This was, I think, the second time, or at least the second time I wrote it down in the section where Biden said, "I'm running as a Democrat, but I'm an American first," right?
Huge.
So that was his message throughout the entire debate, was that he is an American. And I think, to me personally, that's what we need more than anything. We're divided, and Trump is working on making that even a larger divide. His obvious goal is to bring everyone together, and it's throughout his entire conversation.
Melissa, what are your thoughts about that?
Agreed. I like what the former Vice President Biden said, because I respect folks and I use their titles, that there are no red states and blue states. And I hear a lot about this. And President Trump was ragging a lot on the great state of New York, which I'm from Brooklyn. And I was like, take New York out your mouth. Like, why? You represent all of us, whether we like it or not, whether he likes it or not, we are one nation. To pit me into, you're red, you're blue, you're this, you're that, like, that's not helpful. And the last question really spoke a lot to that. What do you say to the people who did not vote for you? Because at that point, you're not talking about yourself. You're talking about how you serve, because every politician is elected to serve the American people. You're not elected to serve your base or your party.
I love it. Dayna, what are your thoughts?
Agreed. Also, what's up, New York? I was born in Queens, grew up on the Valley.
Okay.
So, we got to see a lot. I used to read the paper cover to cover, and you get to see a lot of his garbage. It was just in the paper, just little blips every day. The other thing about serving just specific states, that's one of the things that's been holding up the relief bill, is he doesn't want money going to those states. He denied the money to California for the fires. Like, it's on fire. And I appreciate that Joe Biden is reminding us that we are one nation. And, like, if they fall apart, we fall apart also. And also, I have friends and family in New York, and, like, every once in a while we'll talk about it, and they'll just go outside and be like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're good.
It's not what it was.
Yeah.
We out here try to keep New Yorkers down.
Here's the thing, man. So first and foremost, I want to say I went out to Pace University in New York City, Manhattan. Okay, I lived in New York for 5 years. Okay, so I got my New York too. Okay, but I love New York, and New York is a great melting pot. But what's so crazy about Trump, and this is what Trump does though, is that he's one of the biggest gaslighters out there. And I'm speaking about just my observation of Trump. And I don't like Trump. I'm just going to say that too. But he's a gaslighter. He's an absolute gaslighter, and he loves to point the finger. Right? Whenever we're talking about coronavirus, China. Right. Who cares? China, as far as I'm concerned, has it under control. What's wrong with America? Like that. That's what I want to know, and that's what I want to stay focused on. But again, your point, Melissa, he loves to bop around and not stay on topic.
Yeah,
not stay on topic. When he talks about what's going on with how states are dealing with it. Well, the blue states, they're the Democrats. He loves to point the finger at the Democrats. And Dayna, you made a point earlier about Trump supporters and how they don't read things, right? And I'm gonna say this to you and to everybody watching the show. I know this from experience that I have asked Trump supporters to show me their work. Show me your work. Where did you see that? Where did you find that? And I've yet to see something sent my way. So what they do is they listen very well, but it's very selective listening, selective hearing, and it's from Trump. When Trump speaks, they listen. Bottom line. And so it's like, you can't get a word in edgewise, and you're not talking to somebody who's living in a real world, because it's all fake news, which is what he likes to say. Everybody else does. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, and so a lot of that covers the next section of racism in America.
Oh boy!
Okay.
Let's get to it.
Yeah, real quick.
Get to it.
So the first question that was asked is, do you understand why African American parents are fearful for their children, and what would you say to them? And that last piece is very important. What would you say to those parents? So the question is to address those parents.
Who wants it?
That being said, let's start off with Biden, kind of what his thoughts were, how he addressed it, and move on to Trump. So I will let you. Who's going to go first?
Ladies, you guys, go.
You can go ahead.
I mean, I think I was fascinated that they talked about the talk, because I remember being 13, sitting in an empty parking lot in the middle of the whitest town. Like, they always turn red. It doesn't matter. I lived in a red suburb of New York, sitting in the car with my dad and my brother, and him showing us what to do. And I still do it. The only thing he didn't tell me, he told us to roll the window down. I roll it down this much.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciated how Joe Biden addressed it. I wasn't surprised that Trump brought up the crime bill. But I think, Kelvin, you saw my thing. My mom worked, she was an ambassador during the Clinton administration. And I remember her talking about the crime bill. And, everybody supported that thing.
It was the thing to do.
Pastors, Black community leaders.
It was the thing to do.
Before they put the extra provisions that he keeps talking about that were in there. Everybody supported it as a standalone bill, and everybody made a mistake.
Come on.
And they apologized for it. And I appreciated also Biden talking about the, the drug courts.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
an actual solution I haven't heard.
Oh. I have so much to say about that. Melissa, go ahead.
Well, I appreciated that the former vice president at least answered the question. And he said that, no, he doesn't know what that's like. And he never had to do that with his children, because there's something that is powerful about an acknowledgement that, no, you don't understand.
Man.
How could you? Instead of just dancing around the issue or pointing fingers at whoever else, say, no, I don't know. And then to say that it was a mistake, that even though they had full support in the 80s for this bill, that it was a mistake in hindsight. There's an acknowledgement again, an atonement, and then what we do need going forward. So these are the stages of an actual apology, like how you actually attempt to right the wrongs. Obviously, you can't make up for lost time. You can't go back in time and rewrite legislation. But what can you do is you can answer the question and show that you understand and that you would do things differently.
Huge. So I honestly, the biggest thing, and I think this is when he talked about it, when you talk about the cocaine bill, right? And Dayna, you took the words right out of my mouth. He made a mistake, and I said, and as I was setting up for the show and stuff, and I was hearing that, and I was like, man, people make mistakes, and the fact that he just owned that was just, I was like, okay, cool, you got me, and so it just, Biden really, and everybody knows I've not been a fan of Biden. I've said it out loud. I'm not a fan of Biden, but I'm riding with Biden. I'm a fan of Biden after tonight. He looked into the camera. When you looked into his eyes, I just see a man who's just trying to fix some shit, man. He's trying to correct some wrongs. And that's what America needs. America doesn't need you to be perfect. It does not need you to have a perfect background. It doesn't need you to have a perfect family. It doesn't have drug addiction. When he said that people who are arrested for drugs don't need to go to jail, they need to go to health, get some health care, get some care. It just was like, so it was like, this is the America that we've all been wanting, right? We've all been wanting,
He also said there is institutional racism in America.
Come on, man.
It is important. And
knowledge.
It's an acknowledgement. We have an acknowledgement. You have an atonement. You have an apology. And then you have actualized change.
It's a process, right? It's a process. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and they also discussed the minimum mandates for a number of people in jail or for police departments, right? And so Biden said he would eliminate those very first off. So do you guys think that'll have an impact on overall systemic racism in America?
I mean, I don't think it's going to have an impact on systemic racism, because that's everywhere. I mean,
right.
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's going to could make a difference on the amount of people of color in the prison system. It remains to be seen,
Right.
Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Tool in the tool chest of an enormous dismantling and truth-telling moment that I would like to see happen.
There's some powerful stuff tonight, guys. There's some powerful stuff. Like Biden, he brought it home. Go ahead.
I took a lot of notes,
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna lie. Like Joe Biden was very calm until he said Abraham Lincoln here is the most racist president we've ever had, and I was just like, should I write this down? And you know what? I feel like it needs to be acknowledged because it made me laugh. I'm sure a lot of people laugh.
I was like, he's got jokes. And he was pretending like he didn't get the joke. And I was like, dude, you said crazier things. Like, I don't know.
I think Joe's invited to the cookout, y'all, because he just was like Abe Lincoln over here. I was like, damn, Biden.
He did really well.
Biden, don't hurt him, Biden.
Biden did well. I think he took his vitamins. He got good sleep. He did well. He did better than he had in any other debates.
You know, I don't say this, Timo. I don't say like the black. You know, you earned your black card, but you know, I don't say it anymore. But Biden, you earned your black card tonight, man. You earned my black card. I'll tell you that much. So, that was awesome.
Well, and what was the commentary that you just had up there too? The Hitler comparison was impactful, right? And I can't remember. Do you guys recall it specifically?
Yeah, I don't
what
remember
Biden said. I do remember him referencing it, but it was something along the lines of like, yeah, well, Hitler was powerful before he invaded Germany. Or
Come on now,
right?
Vanessa, give us a call.
Popular, I believe.
Give us a call. The phone lines are open, guys. 585-502-7922. We'd like to hear from at least one or two more people. Call me now. What are your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen? Speaking of Hitler, okay, can I just segue just for like 2 seconds here? Okay, I don't know the black. She's this beautiful black influencer, and she does makeup, right? She does makeup on YouTube. You gotta look her up. If you look her up by this story, I'm pretty sure you'll find her. I wish I knew her name so I could shout her out. I'll probably post in the comments. She just real quickly, she's doing a makeup tutorial about Hitler and how Hitler came into power and how he was able to win over the entire country. And how everybody was just okay with them killing these Jews. And if she walks it down, and like everything that Trump has done, it directly mimics what Hitler has done to get to where he is. When we talk about, dude, when we talk about how Trump supporters are like, they just like, you can tell them something, they're like, nope, that's not right. And they're just like, are you here?
Mm-hmm.
Everything he's done, it is like directly in line with what Hitler did. And so it's some interesting stuff. If you look up the Hitler story, I would put Hitler story, black influence, makeup artist. Go ahead and do it. You can do it. Okay. It's just you and Google. Ain't nobody gonna tell you. Just put black makeup artist on YouTube. And then she's amazing. I'm gonna find her video. I'm gonna post it in the comments to this thing. But you know, it just was truly amazing. And I just was like, this is some crazy.
On you, Kelvin, anyone interested in populism in general or like fascist fever, the rise of Hitler, I strongly recommend Cased by Isabel Wilkerson. It's her latest book. She's an amazing historian because she literally breaks it on down of how Germany based their Nuremberg laws off of Jim Crow. And there were aspects of Jim Crow that were even too radical for Hitler's Germany, like the one-drop rule.
Damn, dude.
What we mean when we say that the systemic racism exists and there is systemic racism in America is that we were even worse than Germany with the Nuremberg laws and some of our racial casting.
And I would even argue that we still are. Like we are. America is just, we are so behind. We're so behind, man. We're just like so behind.
And we're still at the acknowledgement phase, right? Where we
like and struggling with
on an acknowledgement, let alone atone, let alone apologize, let alone actualize any type of future.
Well, that happens like every 10, 20, 30 years. I mean, we've been doing this 1935, 1965, the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
come on.
You know, it happens all the time. That I tell that to people all the time. They're like, everything's going to change. I'm like, no.
It's a flower. It's like a bad seed that blooms, right? Which means we haven't got down to the root. We got to root it out. And that's
it's not going to happen in our lifetimes, but we have to spend our lifetimes changing it. We have to spend our lifetimes. We have to do the work in this lifetime just to even acknowledge the next step. That's some crazy stuff, but it's because there's a lot of work. 400 years slavery, 400 years, and then another. I forget another like how many years of Jim Crow? Like it's insane the amount of work that we have to do.
A good 80 years of Jim Crow.
Say that again. Sorry.
80 years, almost
80 years. Yes, yeah.
Jim Crow.
Very good. What's the next topic?
Before we move on to the next topic, I know this is a big topic of all the debates. Melissa or Dayna, anything else that you want to touch on this topic before we move on?
No, I think we've hit everything. Oh, I did want to suggest a book since you guys were talking about the Hitler thing and we were talking about people like Trump's people just being like brainwashed and dead. Malcolm Nance, he's like a terrorism expert. He was in the Navy. He has a series of 3 books following Trump from when he was with Ivana. And the 3rd book blew my mind. I got to it a couple of days ago, and I had to I'm reading it again because just he lays out all the players and the strategy and everything that was used to basically like brainwash all the people.
It's real stuff, guys. People are easily brainwashed. Okay. Before we go on to the next topic, was there anything that you guys wanted to touch base on? Just like just throughout the debate, like something that stuck out to you? Anything that you guys want to say, hey man, let's talk about this real quick.
I just always try, anybody who knows me knows that I'm always trying to insert Puerto Rico into the conversation. And I just wanted to give a shout out to that island nation that is a part of the United States. Puerto Rico is not a foreign country. When they have a disaster, they're dependent on our foreign aid. Like I said, they can't vote for president. They don't have a senator. Like, it's literal taxation without representation up in there. And it has been for a long time. So if anyone is interested in learning more about Puerto Rico, our colonial relationship, hit me up afterwards. And I really encourage people to educate themselves on that very important civil and human rights issue of our time.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that the place where Trump handed out paper towels?
Paper towels to people who had no running water? Like, what they're going to mop it up with? You were correct.
I mean, that happened, guys. That happened. Like that shit happened.
It was incredibly disrespectful. And he was also saying that like Puerto Rico's president needs to get it together. And like, spoiler alert, that was him.
Yeah. She got out there and she held her ground, didn't she? She was like, we're not doing that. See, women, I'm telling you, we need women. We need to give it up, guys. Women. Dayna, did you have anything you wanted to point out?
You know, it was hard to watch. Like, coming as a person coming out of, well, not coming out of, but trying to get divorced from a super abusive, narcissistic person. Wow. The only reason I finished watching the debate tonight was because I was coming on here. Like, and I talked to a couple of other people that I know that have been in abusive situations, and I have to turn it off. I can't.
No, it's true. The narcissism and the pathological inaccountability and the gaslighting. It is all abusive. I'm with you every time. He's the gaslighter in chief, and there's a reason why so many people, especially women or survivors of abusive dynamics, be they, intimate partner or a family member, what have you, are triggered by this man, is because he is a triggerer. He's like a cyclone of
He's a freaking narcissist. So Dayna, you got me crying over. You got me tearing up. So I want to thank you so much for struggling through that and powering through that, because powering through that because you didn't have to and you did. And I want to say thank you. I appreciate that. So what's so interesting that and I'm so glad you brought that up, because it's a great segue to Trump supporters, right? Because I think it's important for us to also say that Trump supporter, it's no longer the Republican Party anymore. And I think that Republicans, this is a message to you. If you're a Republican, you need to be voting for Biden. And that's just like Republicans, if you're trying to stay true to what this Democrats Republican thing is, you're not voting for Trump. And that's just some real stuff. If you are voting for Trump, you're a Trump supporter, right? And here's the thing about Trump supporters. They are in an abusive relationship with Donald Trump. They're in an abusive relationship with Donald Trump. He is an absolute narcissist. They think that he shits gold, and anything he does is great. He's the best at this. He's the best at this. He's the best at this. You will find that Trump supporters, they start talking like Trump. They talk like Trump. It's like, man, it's like I'm talking to Trump. You're in an abusive relationship with Donald Trump. That's why I don't argue with Trump supporters anymore. Like, I'll agree with them on things that Trump has done or didn't do. But I'm not going to argue with you because you are in an abusive relationship with somebody who's a narcissist. And it's honestly one of the best ways to shut down a Trump supporter. It really honestly is. It's like, you know what? No, I believe you. You're in an abusive relationship with Donald Trump. And I hope that you work your way out of that. I really do. And I feel for you. That's just what I have
another one for you. If you, as soon as you say the word gaslighting, they all stop. I've only had one person continue to keep speaking. I was like, I'm not going to let you gaslight me. Like, thanks. I'm good on this section.
The gaslighters are gaslighting you, and you take the oxygen away.
We got our next call, ladies and gentlemen. We got our next call. Call it all. Welcome to Call in America. This is Kelvin, Taylor, Dayna, and Melissa. Who's calling? Where are you calling from, caller?
My name is Stephen Smith from East Prairie, Missouri.
Hey, Stephen Smith. How you doing, my friend? Weigh in. What are your thoughts, man?
Pretty good.
Speak your truth.
All right,
go ahead.
You can continue. My bad.
No, go ahead. Speak your truth. Did you see the debates tonight? What do you thought? Who won? Who lost? Go ahead.
I did not, but I do want to talk about, them, because like my views are going to be probably different than most people are, because
Come on.
I'm a communist.
Okay. Well, you got about a minute, so go ahead. Tell us. Speak your truth.
Okay. So my main problem with like Trump is he's very aggressive, very almost nihilist in a way. He does not care. Biden, he does have criticism. Like people always say, "Oh, Trump is racist and stuff," but they're both racist, both sexist, both homophobic. But like the only good thing about Biden, in my opinion, is his economic policies. I believe his economic policies might bring up the economy, unlike Trump, which was inherited from Obama's, which saved the economy because of the Bush administration. But if Biden gets into presidency, his greener plan will help accelerate machinery and give better jobs, and it would just help America in the overall way.
Steven, first of all, thank you so much for the call. You're absolutely a new call. How did you hear about the show, my friend?
Well, I just got bored and started looking at it. I got your show caught my eye.
My friend, please subscribe to our show on YouTube and reach out. We may have you on as a guest host, my friend. I love difference of opinion. I've never talked to somebody who said that they were a communist before, so I appreciate it. We're going to talk about your points and then reach out. Thank you so much. Ladies.
So that was the next topic, was climate change, and so it does lead into what Steven was talking about. So what are your guys' thoughts on, let's start off with Steven and kind of what he was talking about.
For
Biden's
sure.
green policy.
Oof.
I always said every time somebody would talk about the Green New Deal, that they would refer to the congresswomen involved by their names. Even if you disagree with the policy, they are congresswomen. Referring to them as AOC and the other three, like they are not a nursery school rhyme. They are not they are individual elected officials. Yes, bothers me. Okay.
Yeah.
But it is true that communities of color do suffer disproportionately from climate change. That is a part of acknowledging that institutional racism exists, is acknowledging redlining, is acknowledging who gets the bad water, who gets, X, Y, Z. But I agree with the caller. I've also never met a self-avowed communist before. Missouri, okay. But I don't know that I could say that and people would be looking for me afterwards. Sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I would do it. But I do think I was telling my husband that I think that Biden can kind of right the ship. I think, be the last of the kind of president that he would be. And then after that, boom, let's open it up to women of color, LGBTQ presidents. He can be the bookend, and then let's have more representation.
Be a bookend, yeah.
Yeah.
Be a bookend. For me, Obama was a bookend because he started. Come on, that's my little.
And do you guys think that the green policy is going to create enhance the economy? Do you think it's going to be an economy driver?
Yeah, it's going to create jobs. I mean, that's the first thing. It's going to create jobs. So a lot of those people who are not able to mine coal, which seemed to be Trump's big thing in the first election, probably
like a black lung or something like that from coal. Coal, what the hell?
Coal is not your friend.
Coal is not baking.
Right?
It is 2020.
China. And their environment, but that's from coal,
right? I know.
Yeah, I think a lot of those guys who are out of work because they're not able to do that will be able to get into this industry, and also, I mean, it's going to create new businesses, so people from all different professions will benefit from it. There's no way that they won't.
Right. And part of being a successful nation is being adaptable, right? America of the 1940s, of the 1920s, of the 1880s, you had a whole industrial revolution, technologies changed, jobs changed. What is the infrastructure to support those technical workers through that change? That is the question. It's not, oh, we need to hang on to coal with our like black lung filled hands.
Come on, man. Come on.
I
Coal.
mean,
Coal. This episode is brought to you by Coal. Thank you, man. Like, what are we talking about? And he's the same one. He's the same one who said that windmills give you cancer, right? Didn't he say something like that?
I
Like,
think it was
guys, come on. What is happening?
an episode that was left on the cutting room floor. Like, next.
Yes, man. It's like a blooper reel. This whole last 4 years has been a damn blooper reel for America. All right, we're coming to the end of the show. What else we got?
So it was the last question. So they
Let's do
didn't
it. We
get
got
through.
there.
What were the other sections though? So they didn't get to national security. I think was the other one. 4 or 5, something like that. And then, but they did address. You know, they had one question in the last section, which was leadership. So they were saying it's your inauguration day. What would you tell the voters who didn't vote for you? And I think they started with Trump and then moved over to Biden. So Dayna, what were your thoughts on their final answers?
I'm not gonna lie, I zoned out when Trump started talking. He wasn't saying anything, and I was just like, "All right, this is
I'm with you."
He didn't say anything to us, those of us who aren't supporters. Like again, I'm like Kelvin. I'm not a Joe Biden person.
Right.
We had a woman come up in there and was like, "Here's my 9,000 word plan, and here's everything I'm gonna do." And people were like, "A woman can't win," and didn't vote for her. So I have thoughts on that, but Trump didn't say anything, and Joe Biden at least was able to reach across the aisle, and come together and fix this together. And I think anybody who's undecided has got to appreciate the fact that he is trying to bring us back together. We were never really together.
Right. Together, like on paper, but like we don't actually vicinitize together all that much. America.
I got a man crushing on Biden. Melissa, what are your thoughts, baby?
I mean, question, what do you say to people that didn't vote for you? My sweet husband is like, that's a hard question. And I mean, it is, but anyone who's running for public office to represent the whole entirety of a country, you need to be able to answer that question, and you need to have that answer like right here and have that elevator pitch like out and ready. And the answer is, it's like a multiple choice question. A, success. B, like nanny foo-foo. C, I will be
Many foo-foo.
The answer, like there's only one answer to that question. It's not hard, you know, like this is what you're supposed to say because that is the job. It's like a job interview. If somebody's like, how are you going to get along with people that might not like you, that you might have to win over, that might dismiss you and like not want to acknowledge that you as the expert in this job. If somebody says, if they don't answer the question, they don't get the job.
I'm not even going to comment. That's it, ladies. I would take a minute or two. Tell us where they can find you, who you are. Give us all your social media stuff, and then we're going to close out this show. We'll start with you, Dayna. Go ahead.
I am Dayna Donovan. I am an actor in the Valley, working on a website. I'm a web builder, so it makes no sense that I don't have my own website. I do Shakespeare. I'm actually working on a thing, Honey. It's a pilot. They're in rehearsal right now. I'm going to join them here shortly. But everything from, I'm a core member of Southwest Shakespeare Company. So if you look them up, you can find me up there. And I do sketch comedy. Like I pretty much do everything that there is to do. So find me out there.
A Renaissance woman. That is Miss Dayna. Thank you so much. We're going to take you out of stream, Dayna. Thank you.
Thank you, Dayna.
Thank you so much I'll probably give you a little call tonight if you're still up, just to say thank you. Bye now.
All right, sounds good.
All right, then there were two. Finish this out. Who are you?
So I'm Melissa Dunmore. I am a spoken word poet and creative here based in Phoenix, Arizona, originally from Brooklyn, New York, representing the island nation of Puerto Rico. I like to consider myself a matriarch in training. Ya tú sabes. Okay. So I have a day job, but my passion is storytelling and trying to make sense of this world that we're all living in through my experience as a multicultural femme of many different cultures. So you can find a lot of my poetry in several anthologies and zines. If there's comments afterwards, I'll drop them in there. I'm also featured in the local award-winning documentary You Racist Sexist Bigot by Mango Sky Films that Colin America was so gracious as to host the virtual red carpet party for a couple weeks ago. I recommend watching that film. And that film's not about any one person. You know, people always like to be like, oh, that must be about the president. Like, no, it's literally about every day.
It was actually made in 2016, right? It was like made in
2016. Yeah, it wasn't even like about
nothing to do with Trump, and yet it still applies to him. That's
well, it applies to being alive in America and people's experiences of America as, you know, not being the fullest iteration of that, you know, land that was created equal for all people that it could be.
Melissa, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Say goodbye to Melissa. Thank you, baby. I'll probably reach out and say, hey, thank y'all. Ow! Okay, I do want to. What an amazing show, man! God, I do want to. I want to bring Stevens back because that was really cool, man. We had a couple more comments. I'm gonna put these up on the screen. Kind of talk. You and I can talk about. We're going to do our final thoughts. From Stephen Smith, in my opinion, the main thing that is destroying America is classism. Every year, the exploitation of the worker class is getting worse, but not just in America, but other countries that America has ties with. It's some interesting conversation, man. It's some interesting conversation. I honestly can't speak to communism. I don't know what it is. I mean, I know what it is. It makes me think of like everyone getting like bread rations for some reason. I know that's probably ignorant of me to say that, but I'm going to be vulnerable and say that. But that's some interesting stuff, man. Like I said, reach out and let's connect. See what we can do. Vanessa says they always say that what Obama did for the black community. Obama spoke to everyone. He was everyone's president. You ain't telling a lie. And then we have Miss Lola Hart who says, yes, he was. He did for all the people. Tay, what are your thoughts on tonight's show?
I think it was great. I liked watching the presidential debates, even though there was some irritating moments throughout it. There was also some inspiring moments in it and some hope. And that's what I think I need. I think that's what the world needs.
I just Biden got my black card tonight. Like Biden won me over tonight. Like he spoke to my heart tonight, and I could tell that he was genuine, and that he's just trying to right some wrongs. Like he's not a perfect person, and that's what I saw tonight. I saw somebody who isn't perfect, staying on topic. Right, staying on topic and acknowledging and owning his imperfection, and that's just called genuine. And I don't like fake ass people. So, my name is Kelvin.
I'm Taylor,
and that is our show.